Well, we're joined by Lucy and Alistair McLean, Chief Executive from the Fundraising Standards Board. Nice to have you back, Alistair. We saw Angela there posting the letter with Daphne. Now, One Show viewers can use that exact letter, can't they, Lucy? How?
Exactly. So everybody who wants to have some sort of buffer to the pesky mail should print that out, and if they get junk mail from a charity, what they consider junk mail, if there's a stamped addressed envelope with that, they should pop that in and send it back. Or if there is no envelope or they've lost it, they may have to send it back themselves and put a stamp on, but it's a short-term measure to stop this happening. They could even try and email it to the fundraising department if they want to do a bit of detective work and find out the address online. So there's a buffer, because it's going to be a while before the charities come up with a long-term solution to this, I think, from
and
what I've
we'll give
heard.
you details of how to get hold of that letter very shortly, so if you want to grab a pen or anything like that in the meantime. But in the meantime, we'll chat, because you have been trying to contact, haven't you, some of the leading charities today. What has been the reaction and the response?
Well, they're quite noisy when they want our attention and they want something from us, but a little bit more elusive in this debate. So I've tracked some of them down. There's a real sense of regret that it's got to this point, I think is the first thing to say. You know, it is a lifeline. Our charitable donations are a lifeline to these charities. We would hate to tell anyone to stop giving. The director of fundraising, who I spoke to from Scope, for example, said we want people to be inspired into giving, not pressurised, and that's really important. But I also spoke to another charity CEO who made the point that whenever they do a telemarketing campaign, their uplift in donations is 25 to 30%. So there's still a lot of work to do on how this is all going to be resolved. But the point was, pretty much everyone I spoke to said we do not want a knee-jerk response, because the worst outcome would be if we turned off people from giving us money, but we also failed to repair our reputation. So they want a considered approach that's really going to fix things in the long term. Not all in agreement, though, I have to say.
You touched on some of the recommendations in the film, Alistair. So can you just reiterate what they are and what impact you hope to achieve with them?
Well, there are quite a number. Charity must abide by that, and that will then cascade down through all the other sort of issues that we have around maybe data management and consent. Because
it's not just a connection with that charity, they're passing on the details, as we heard in the film. I mean, what do you hope for in the future as far as that is concerned? And I mean, is the ultimate goal to see less mail coming through the door?
Well, there are rules and regulations around data sharing, data buying and selling. However, they're not tight enough, and so one of the recommendations has been that that should be much tighter in the code of practice, and that's also part of that. One of those task groups are going to examine that. So I think that will, ultimately see people like Daphne and many others who don't want to get so many correspondence to see a reduction in that.
And what if charities don't follow that code of practice then? Are there penalties?
Yeah. Certainly, the overwhelming majority of fundraising charities signed up in Britain today are signed up to the Fundraising Standards Board. They're required to abide by the codes of practice, and they're also, if they fall foul of the code, we can suspend them from doing that particular fundraising technique. We can make public an adjudication against them, which would damage their public trust and reputation, which would prevent them from having the sort of ability to raise funds, or indeed we can expel them from membership of the Fundraising Standards Board.
And that would be a shame, of course, because at the heart of all charities, they're trying to do good, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the whole point. And, you know, the balance here is getting it right between asking and giving. Wonderful people like Daphne and many, many other people up and down the country give unstintingly to charities. We want that to continue, but the standards clearly need to be strengthened, and this is part of what we've been doing.
Interesting times then, Alistair, with this letter, this One Show letter, to see what kind of a reaction it has.
Well, I think so. You've obviously got a large viewership, and they'll clearly pick up with the idea, and if they wish to use the letter, great, and if they don't, well, then they can use the opt-out box when they get it.
Okay, well, on that point, if you would like a copy of the One Show letter, then just go to the website and you can print out as many copies